people, a lot is really going in the political zone. Another video of Bola Ahmed Tinubu exposure have finally come out again. Nobody expected this video to come out at this moment when Tribunal is about to make their ruling and all of that. Bola Tinubu himself did not expect this video to come out. A man came out few hours ago and he exposed a lot of things about Tinubu. This man shook that light table. Everyone was shocked with what this man said regarding Bola Ahmed Tinubu because a lot of people did not really know this thing. But as this man was saying this thing in a big TV station, this man did not even finish his time before he ran out of the TV station because he himself knows that he is not safe because what he exposed about Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not what's supposed to come to public. According to Bola Tinubu, this man opened the eyes of Nigerians to who is ruining them and he opened the eyes of Africans to who Bola Ahmed Tinubu is. So I would like guys to share this video. If you can share this video, ensure you share it, let it go viral. They may delete it any moment from now, but do well to share it. Let it go viral. Let it go into different social media platforms. And if you can share it, like it, give it a thumb up so that it will be recommended for us. I'll be stay connected. I'm coming back again.
Welcome you back to Laju TV.
I don't have bad news for you today.
The home of religious gossip.
But you should leave the fight for Mohammed.
What is happening in the Christendom? Join now to make sense with Laju.
Hello my great and wonderful viewers, welcome back to Laju TV. For those of you that are new on this channel, ensure you click the registration button in your video screen so that you won't miss out again whenever we drop a new update in fast and YouTube will easily let you to know. So just click the registration button in your video screen and do it to click the notification bell icon so that whenever we drop a new video, YouTube will notify you easily. Still on what is happening in the political zone, you know, I'll be giving you back-to-back update regarding what has been happening in the political zone even before they conducted the election and during the election and even after the election. I gave you updates regarding what happened in the course of the election, how there were voters intimidation, voter suppression, voters bullying, underage voting in different regions in Nigeria, and talks coming out in different polling units, dictating to the people who they must vote for, and all of that, and how Mama Yakubu, INEC chairman, the orchestrator of the kasala that is busting in the political zone, the orchestrator of all the shenanigans that is happening in the political zone now, how INEC chairman came out and announced Tinubu, even with everything that happened because of the election, he still announced Tinubu as the president-elect and was later inaugurated on the 29th of May as the president of Nigeria. That is where the issue started from. You know, since then, Obi have been in court, Atiku have been in court, trying to reclaim their mandate and all of that. Obi claimed that he owns the mandate even when it was announced third. Atiku took claims to own the mandate even when it was announced second and all of that. But a lot of people believe that Obi owns the mandate. So they tender evidences to the tribunal and the tribunal sees to the evidences that they tendered. Obi tendered 13 evidences to strengthen the petition that he wrote against Tinubu, Shetima, APC and INEC as a whole. And even Atiku tendered 22 evidences and all of that. So by so doing, Obedient have moved to street in Abuja, pasting billboards on the team, all eyes on the judiciary, because they don't want the judiciary to provide justice because they believe that the legislative arm of government have failed Nigeria. So they focus on the judiciary. They said all eyes on the judiciary because they don't want the judiciary to provide justice. But I posted a news some days ago where I showed you the fact that a judge came out, a woman judge came out and was announcing to the general public that these people should take off their bribe off her table, that she did not want any bribe from them, that she's contented and she's okay with what she and her family have. That is to tell you that they have started sharing money to the judges in the tribunal because they know that the judgment is already at the corner. So all these things are happening in a country that is said to be practicing democracy, but that is not where we're going to. Where we're going to today is the fact that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is on hot fire now. Obedient, if you can share this video, ensure you share it to different social media platforms before they take it down. They may delete it any moment for now, but before then, ensure you share to different social media platforms. And if you can share it, like it, give it a thumb up so that YouTube will recommend it for us as we stay connected. A man came out, this man is not even from Nigeria. Even that is from Nigeria, they will abandon him, arresting him, and putting him in Kuje prison and all of that, or even Kirikiri or anywhere. They would have isolated this man from the community and put him in correctional center and all of that. This man is not from Nigeria, but what this guy exposed about Tinubu make Tinubu into going into flows of tears. Tinubu shed tears in the hell hour of today because what this man said is what no man knows. A lot of Nigerians do not know what people outside Nigeria know about Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because Tinubu is an international man. They know about the atrocities that he committed in the neighboring countries and all of that. After what this man exposed about Tinubu, he said Tinubu is a big fool, that Nigerians should stop following fool and all of that. This man shaked a light table today. Even the big TV station that I was saying everything, they were panicking because the words that this man was using, exposure and the secret that this man was giving out, they can't even imagine it. But this man did not finish his time before he moved out of the TV station. He did not finish his time before he ran out of the TV station. So I would like guys to share this video. If you can share it, let it go viral. Share it to different social media platforms. And if you can share it, like it, give it a thumb up so that YouTube will recommend it for us. So just ensure you share before the video got deleted, because they may take it down in a moment from now. So stay connected. I'm coming back again as I show you the video.
Oh, the African star is a demigod. Oh, Africa. We must demystify political leadership going forward. And once we do that, and I think we can do it because I can now begin to see something happening in Africa. Young Africans are beginning to ask searching questions. Africans are beginning to recognize that corruption is a cancer in our body politic. They are beginning to recognize that those who want to buy their votes don't mean well for them. They are beginning to recognize that there is enough money to change their lives if the thieves are eliminated from the political arena. They are beginning to realize that commercialization of politics is a threat to democracy. They are beginning to rise up. And I think that those who have not smelled the coffee will be surprised. They will be surprised when the ground moves from under their feet. They'll be surprised when Africa begins to elect individuals who can demonstrate that they have ideas, because the politics of the 21st century is the politics of ideas and about competition of ideas. And therefore, when one is appointed into any public office because of the demands of the electorate, and this relationship between the African member of parliament or the African president and the electorate is a symbiotic relationship. It is symbiotic in a very perverse manner. And I suspect I'm misusing the word symbiotic, but I'll use it or misuse it nevertheless, to the extent that it explains my point. What happens is that it appears that the electorate has allowed the so-called leader, because many of them are misleaders, to remain in their positions of power and to acquire as much as they can, on the understanding that periodically their loot will be shared with them. It is some kind of Robin Hoodism of a latter day kind. And this Robin Hood kind of politics is a little bit different, at least from my understanding. Robin Hood robbed the rich in order to share with the poor. But our latter-day African Robin Hoods are in the business of robbing from the poor in order to give a pittance to the very poor. And this is what we are talking about today when we talk about commercialization. So that if you ask any typical African politician, how much does it cost you to be elected into parliament, they'll tell you it is in the millions. It is in the millions, and the millions they spend is perhaps 10 times more than they'll ever earn through their legitimate salaries. And I ask myself, if your salary in 5 years is going to be 1 billion Ugandan shillings, why should you spend 5 billion Ugandan shillings to get into that office? There must be something that we do not see, but you see, and I know what it is. What it is that getting into the office of the member of parliament, or indeed any other political office in Africa, is a guarantee that things will come. So that in many African countries, the politician is the major tenderpreneur. The politician is the gatekeeper. The politician is the one who receives the guests. He is the tax collector informally, aside from the URA. And in this regard, therefore, we must commercialize politics. We may blame the politicians, but what about the electorate? The electorate also is to be blamed. The electorate has insatiable thirst and hunger for things that they have not worked for. They have been trained and they no longer listen to ideas. My good friend Norbert Mao, who I was told was here, I do not know whether he is here, will tell you, not that I have talked to him this morning, but he'll tell you that one of the pains that one has to endure when you confront your typical African electorate is to convince the electorate that ideas count for something. Many times when you address the electorate and you are waxing eloquent, telling them, when I'm elected, I'm going to ensure that we have good health services. We are going to ensure that we have good schools. We are going to ensure that we create opportunities for innovation and invention and create opportunities for young men and women. They are waiting for you to finish. They will tell you, we hear you. We know you are going to do all those beautiful things. But in the intervening period, I must eat. And therefore, no matter how beautiful your ideas are, if you don't carry money on that day, your ideas, like the elephant before them, will never fly. Leaders who, upon ascending to power in Africa, became demigods. How many of you here will forget Mobutu Sese Seko? How many of you here will forget Jean Bedel Bokassa? How many of you here will forget Samuel Doe? And then we had the emergence of guerrilla movements where people rose against their very own who had used their positions of power to destroy what had been gained over the years. And then in those early days, you will also remember that many African leaders, including the enlightened ones, took the view that because of ethnicity it was necessary to unite the people. And whether you are speaking from Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, or Lusaka in Zambia, or Kinshasa in what was then Zaire, now the Democratic Republic of Congo, or you are speaking from Nairobi in Kenya, and here in Uganda, the clarion call was that we must have one-party states. And the justification for one-party states was that we are so disunited, there are so many ethnicities, that if we allow multi-party politics, then what would happen to us is that we would be negatively ethnicized and that we would break our countries, and that therefore, to ensure that there was unity, we needed one umbrella under whose auspices and under whose guidance the people would be united. But no sooner had we sufficiently articulated the beauty of single-party states than Western Europe told us, no, that is not democracy. Democracy means that you must have many political parties. Democracy means that you must have regular elections. Democracy means that you must have the civil society, so that our brand of democracy as we embrace it today, I dare say without fear of contradiction, was not conceived in Africa. It was conceived for us in Paris. It was conceived for us in Madrid. It was conceived for us in London. It was conceived for us in Washington. And we have swallowed it line, hook, and sinker. Africa does not tell our own story. Africa does not design what is in our best interest. Africa still waits to be told what is good and right. And I dare say that that is why Africa does not realize our potential. But yet it is also important to point out that the African and African countries are more resilient than the European states. You know, if you allow me latitude as a guest must be allowed, permit me to say this. The ethnicity that we keep on talking about, African countries are just slightly over 60 years since they regained their independence. Take Nigeria, for example, with over 500 ethnic groups created within an artificial boundary. They have had their problems, they have had their hiccups, but the nation is still alive and well. The difficulties notwithstanding. Take Uganda, for example. You've had your difficulties, you've had your trials and tribulations, but the nation is still alive and well. Tanzania, with over 136 ethnic groups, the nation is still alive and well. There is a sense in which, in the face of our difficulties, we have succeeded in managing those difficulties, however painful it has been. But look at Europe, the pontificating Europe. They cannot handle diversity. They cannot. And it's important to remind ourselves this, if only to energize ourselves. The Europeans have had to fight two major tribal wars. They called them world wars. They were tribal wars. The European tribes were at war with each other in 1914. They may have recruited a few Africans and a few other people, and then they call it world war. Then they had another major tribal war in 1939 through to 1945. They didn't call them tribal wars, they called them world wars. And I want you to look at Europe and the purity of their nation. If you go to Sweden, the nation is almost 90% composed of the Swedes, with a small lapsed population, and for that small population, they even have a separate parliament for them. That is how they handle it. You go to Finland, 90% of Finland are the Finns, with small Swedish population. You go to the Netherlands, the same. You go to England or the Great Britain, whether he is great or not, I do not know, but he is the Great Britain. Even there, if you talk to the Scots, they have something to say about the English. If you talk to the Irish, they have something to say. If you talk to the Welsh, they have something to say. Go to Spain, where there are a few more tribes, they had a civil war. Go to Italy, largely the Italians. And you walk across to Eastern Europe, Yugoslavia was united as one nation under Joseph Broz Tito. Did they not produce many countries during our lifetime? The Soviet Union has given birth to many countries. They have gone into ethnic purity. Africa remains the only continent on earth that somehow, having had artificial boundaries imposed on her, saying that we will retain those boundaries and make the best of it, and one need only go to the pronouncements in 1963, the pronouncements of Kwame Nkrumah and Julius Kambarage Nyerere on the inviolability of the boundaries, repeated again in 1964 in Cairo in Egypt.
Thank you for staying connected, my great and wonderful viewers. You can hear what that man said in this very video that I just finished watching. That man spoke a lot of sense out. He spoke a lot of truth out. It's not only limited to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That man exposed a lot of things regarding African leaders. You know, it was on days ago that I posted a video out for you where Femi Falana, the father of Fars, was talking in Channels Television, where he mentioned the fact that $4 billion worth of gold is being exported out of Nigeria every year, annually. Where is the money going to? when they pay them for the gold that they exported, where is the money going to? Why is Nigeria still remaining in total poverty? Is the gold that they were exporting out, is it for a personal person? Is it for a personal pocket? Is it the family inheritance of someone in Nigeria? But the money is going to someone's pocket. It's not circulating among the masses. This money is not used for economic growth. And with all these things that Nigeria have, the gold, the petroleum, the all of that, Nigeria is still running into economic crisis. Nigeria poverty rate is going higher every day. People are dying of hunger every day, and yet these wicked leaders, these so-called leaders, they are busy sharing money in Aso Rock. They are busy sharing money in all unions that they find themselves, forgetting that it was the people that voted for them and put them there. Well, on getting there, they will all forget the people and they begin to share money. They will focus on Nigerian money, and at the end of the day, when they are leaving office, accountability will not be the game of the day. They will never account for everything, how they spend Nigerian resources, how they utilize Nigerian money, and how they lavish it. All of that, they won't come out to make account of anything. So Nigerians will remain in the dark spot. We won't know what is going on amidst there. But this man has finally come out to shake the light table. He said a lot of things. He said Africans, more especially Nigerians, we should stop voting for foolish leaders, because many of our leaders, they only make decisions foolishly and all of that. This man made mention of everything, and he gave advice to Nigerians. If you are voting at all, you should vote for a wise leader. Though it's no more a news that a lot of Nigerians vote for wise leader in course of the 2023 election, but it was INEC chairman, the INEC body, that manipulated and converted the vote of Nigerians to someone else. You know, it's no more a news that INEC lie on the fact that they were glitch in course of the election, and that glitch only took over the presidential election. It didn't affect the House of Senate and all of that. So INEC chairman orchestrated all these things that are happening in Nigeria at the moment, because a lot of things keep happening in the political zone. I didn't mean that INEC chairman did not manipulate him. A sitting president will be there. I didn't mean that INEC announced the legitimate president, someone that won the election. The person will be there peaceably. If it is Obi, if it is Atiku, and if it is Tinubu himself, the person will be there peaceably and ruling Nigeria, and everything will be going well with the affairs of the country and all of that. You know, what is bringing more secrets regarding Bola Ahmed Tinubu now is the fact that he wants to wage war against Nigeria. You know, he said prayer is on him, and you know, the international communities were giving him external backup to go and wage war against the coups that took over Nigeria and thereabout. You know, regarding the Nigeria war, a lot of prominent Nigerians have talk. But Tinubu to not wage war against Nigeria. Even the House of Assembly declined the fact that he should go and wage war against Nigeria. They stopped him. They declined his letter because there's no decision he can make without the approval of the House of Assembly. And even with the fact that the House of Assembly declined, Tinubu still wants to go and wage the war because he's having external support from France, US, and all of that, all those international communities. And all these things are happening because of the personal benefit that all these international communities are enjoying in Niger. You know, it's not more than that Niger have a large sum of uranium. They have uranium in large quantity, and all these neighboring countries, they benefit from it, even when Niger is going down drastically and is the second poorest country in the world. But they don't care about that. All they focus on is what they are deriving from it. They want to eat Niger up. So it was the war that Tinubu wanted to go and wage against Niger that makes a lot of people all over Africa to come out and focus their attention on Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the ECOWAS chairman. So they dig into him and they derive a lot of secrets from this man, and they begin to talk about Tinubu, and they begin to speak sense out of the biography and how Tinubu have used his life and all of that. So a lot of people are now sharing more intels regarding what Tinubu is doing and what Tinubu have done and who Tinubu is. So what do you guys think? I would like guys to drop your opinion in the comment section of this video. Do you really think what this man said is really true? Drop your opinion in the comment section of this video. I'm going on this for you. Ensure you follow me on my social media handles on Facebook at Lajupog Watch TV and Lajupog Entertainment, and on Instagram at Lajupog. You can also follow us on X at Lajupog. Guess what, guys? See you in my next video. Bye.